The Bantam was a popular machine made by the Schield Company of the USA in the 1940s and 1950s. SpecCast have modelled two excavator versions of the machine mounted on a chassis by the truck manufacturer White. Model 017 is the Backhoe version, and Model 016 is the shovel version. Both models are the same other than the digging equipment. They come in the same style of box, and we'll start by looking at the Backhoe version. The box has got a small photo of the original machine and some text about the Schield Bantam company. There is no assembly required for the model, and SpecCast haven't provided any instructions for its operation, but that's fairly straightforward, as we'll see. Inside the box, the model is contained between a pair of plastic formers, and these just pull apart, and when you've done that, then it's a fairly easy matter just to lift out the model, and then the only other part you need to free up is the winding key that's used to operate the winches. It's an interesting looking old machine, although it's not really clear how it should be posed for when it's travelling, because you can't lower the boom fully without it pointing off to one side. In terms of detail, there's a mixture of quality between the hinge on the one side, which is quite visible, but there's also very tiny graphics which are quite legible on the engine hood. The body of the Bantam is fine, with some detail in the casting and seals around the windows. On both sides there are these plastic plugs which fill the holes where the winch key fits in when you want to operate the winches. But the wheels are quite nice, good detail on the hubs, and the mud flap at the rear is rubber. The detail inside the cab is pretty good. You can see the control levers are present, and there are also foot pedals as well. It's a little less good on some of the structure, where for example there's no separate pulley modelled here. In terms of features, the truck rolls along pretty well, and there's a reasonable amount of detail underneath. Although the wheels at the rear share a common axle, so they turn together. There is steering on the front axle, but you can see the range of movement is fairly limited, although it does push along when you are steering it. Moving along to the truck cab, there's a couple of interesting features there. The cab door opens quite widely and lets you see the detail inside. And also what's interesting is the engine hood, which is that old-fashioned style of kind of a gull wing thing that opens up on both sides, and it's also hinged quite nicely and lets you see the detailed engine that's been modelled. The last features to look at are the operation of the backhoe itself. The first thing you need to do is to take out the plastic plugs from the side of the body, and they do a good function because at least they look better than just having a hole. And using the key you can just wind up the boom. Obviously the body rotates, and if you want to move the backhoe bucket itself in and out, then again you take the plug out on the other side and you can just use the key to operate it. And there's a range of movement. It's a little bit limited in terms of what it can actually do, but it's fair enough. The shovel version of the model is basically the same as the backhoe. The structure is modelled perhaps slightly better than the backhoe version, with a few more moving pulleys, and the bucket detail's reasonably good too. Operating the shovel is same kind of thing as the backhoe, although it uses some different winches. The rearmost one lifts the boom, and the one next to it is used for operating the dipper up and down. The range of movement again is a little bit limited on the model in terms of how you can actually pose it digging, but it's good enough. These are quite nice, reasonable models from SpecCast, and they're not too expensive. The details and features are reasonable for the money, and if you like old historic equipment, then these are recommended.